Hi, it's Blair from Automation Sprints here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add custom fields into a Fillout Scheduling form. So I switched to Fillout Scheduling from Calendly as soon as Fillout made this available, because I love Fillout so much and it integrates really nicely with Airtable, so it made perfect sense for me to have my scheduling as part of this rather than having a separate system in Calendly. So this is what my intro meeting form looks like. It's very simple, basically first name, last name, and then obviously the scheduling option itself. So if I flick over to the meeting and basically if I go back a step, this is what people will see when they are going to schedule the intro meeting with me. This could be used for any meeting. This is just the intro meeting for a new client. So they pick a time and they go through and they get the name and the email. Now by default, this is all you get is the name and email. So if I fill this in, let's just say my name is Bob, and I will put in just a fake email address for now. Then basically I will get an email, they will get an email, it'll go into our calendar, and that's it. But what I really want to know is I want to know why they want to make the call. Like what is the project that they've got that they want to talk to me about? What is the desired outcome? And also what company are they from, or what company do they own? So I want to know those two things, but also I want to add this data into my Airtable base, which I've got here. So I've got an Airtable base called Client Hub, which contains all the information I have for my clients and for my leads. And I've created this table here called calls. And I want to basically log all the calls in here just to have a nice easy place to find them. So I don't have to go find them on email, or I don't have to go look at my calendar. So I want to get the name of the person, the company, the field of what they're looking for in the call, and also for the project, and then a nice link to the Zoom call so that I can have easy access whenever I need it. So let's go ahead and set this up in Fillout. Okay, so go back here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to click on the Integrate tab at the top. And as you can see, I've already connected to my calls table. So if I edit this, I'm actually going to delete this so that I can show you how to do this from scratch. So as you can see, I've basically connected this to my calendar, which basically means that when somebody schedules a call, it will automatically appear on my calendar. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to add another integration, and that integration is going to be for Airtable. Okay, and I'm going to select Client Hub, which is the base, and I'm going to select the calls table, which is the table that I just showed you a second ago. Okay, now you've got two options here. You can either update an existing record, or you can create a new one. In my case, I always want to create a new one because every new call is a new record in this table. I don't want to update existing ones. Okay, so I'm just going to click on Finish Setup. I'm not going to map any fields right now. I'm just going to finish the setup. I will publish it later, and then I'll go back and edit the form. Okay, so not much has changed yet, but what I can now do if I scroll down. Okay, so what I can now do is I can now add a new page to this form just by clicking this, and I'm going to add a form, and I'm just going to call this details. In fact, I'll call it details of the call. Okay, so this has now created a new tab at the bottom here, and I can add fields to this form. And as you can see on the left hand side, you can now see I've got attendee name, call length, company, and looking for as fields, and these are the fields that are in my my Airtable, and this has come in automatically just from the fact that I have integrated this form with Airtable and to that particular table. So go back here, go back to that tab, and all I need to do is basically drag this over into here. So I'm going to put in the attendee name, and I'm just going to change that so that it says your name, because the person who's reading this, it's going to be them that are reading it, and so I want to make it obvious that they need to put in their name in there. And I want to also put in the name of the company, so I'll just put your company, and looking for. Okay, now I'm going to change this label quite a lot because this doesn't make sense to somebody who's reading it. So I'm just going to say, please tell me more about what you are looking for. Okay, and that's just a label that the person who is getting the link will see. And then that's basically all I need to do. Then the confirmation will remain as it is. That comes by default from Fillout. Okay, so you can actually preview this. If I basically stay in the form settings and I click on one of the days and choose one, and then if I just put in some text in here, go through the next one. Perfect. Okay, that's not going to work. So it's only going to take me that far. That's fine. Okay, so I'm now going to publish that. And if I go back to my form and I will go back a few steps. Okay, so now I've published it. I'm now going to copy the link and I will pop it over here. Okay, so if I now choose a day and let's just say it's George who books on the meeting. As you can see on the next step here, I've now got these forms, these fields, which are the fields I just added to the fill out. So now this name here, I've just realized this field name here doesn't need to be there. The first name has already got that in the previous step, but I will show you how to remove that. In the short term, I will just type it in. And let's just say this person works for Google. And I am looking for, what am I looking for? Help with setting up Fillout. So let's just say this person's filling it out and they want to jump on a call to talk to me about hiring me to help them set up their Fillout. And they submit that. Okay, so they will then see this just to confirm the date and the time of the meeting. This will also, they'll get an invite for their calendar via email. And if I pop over to Airtable, then as you can see, that has now come into my Airtable. So I've got the attendee name George, I've got the company name the company name Google, and they are looking for help setting up with Fillout. Now I don't have the call link yet, so I will show you how to set this up in a sec. And I'm going to delete that first one. That existed before. Delete that. I don't need that first row. And also we've got the date and the time of when the call was created or when it was scheduled. Okay, so that's great so far. So we've got that in there. We've got this on a separate page. Okay, now what I now want to do is two things. You can see that the name here is blank, and also there is no call link. The fact that the name is blank is pretty easy to sort out. So we don't really want an extra field here. All we want to do is take data from the existing field. So I am going to do a couple of things. First thing I want to do in here is I want to see a date field. Okay, and this will be the call. This will be the date. I'll just call it call. So this is the date field for when the call is, and I want to include the time. So this is just to remind me of when the call is actually happening. Okay, and I'll move that into that position there. And I'm going to get this data from Fillout, and I'm also going to get the call link from Fillout. So if I jump back over to Fillout, okay, and I'm back over into my Fillout form settings, and I'm going to now jump over to the Integrate tab, and I am going to edit the Airtable. Okay, so so you can see this is already pre-filled. So this has basically come from when I set it up in the form itself, and I put in the name and the company and what they're looking for. It pre-filled that. So, like I said, I want to get the call link, and I want to get the time and the date for the call. Okay, so let's start with the. As you can see here, those fields aren't in here because I've just added them into Airtable. So what I need to do now is I need to refresh this so that it then comes in. Okay, and I'll start with the call link. And if I open this, then you can see here it gives me basically out of the box the link to the Zoom meeting which is amazing. That just appears. If I add that, and then I also now want to add in the so now when I add in the call, which is the date and the time of the call. Okay, and we have got in here. Okay, I'm just going to try this. I think this will work. The event start time. So I'll add that. And while I'm here, I'm actually going to remove well, no, I'm not going to remove. I'm going to change the attendee name. So rather than using the name from the field that I added, I am going to use this full name, which is the name that comes from the first tab in Fillout, which comes out of the box, which has got their name and their email. I'm going to use that instead, and then I'm going to remove the attendee name from that extra step, because we don't need it there. So I'll update that. I will go back to edit, go back to this, and I will remove this because we don't actually need that. All we need is the company name and tell me what you're looking for. Okay, so if I publish this again, okay, and I'm going to just come back here and grab that link, pop it over there, so I get a fresh one. Okay, and I'm going to schedule another one. Obviously, I'm going to need to remove these later because I've got a lot of calls in here. So let's put in George again. Okay, so that's great. So now we don't have the first name anymore because we don't need that. We've got the company name and tell me what we're looking for. So this time I'll put in Yahoo, which was once upon a time Google's biggest competitor. And what are they looking for? They're looking for help with setting up. In this case, I'm going to put in something different. So make.com, which is another service that I have. Submit that. Okay, and then if I jump back over to Airtable, here we go. So you can see here, I've got more data now. I've got the name and the company again. You can see it's Yahoo, what they're looking for. But I've also now got the date and the time of the call, and I've got the link to the Zoom call. So that's amazing because it means that on that date, if I want to, I can come in here and all I need to do is basically click on that link if I don't want to look at my calendar or find it in my email. And another thing I can do as well here, I can also create a calendar in Airtable. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're going to use the call date as the date field for the calendar. You can see that's the one that I was booked just now. And I'm going to add the label and I'm going to put in the attendee name and the company. And I might just try putting in the link as well. No, in fact, I won't do that. So you can see here, a nice calendar, it says George from Yahoo and the time of that call, which is amazing. Okay, so what else do we need to do? So at the moment we've got a blank field for the name, so we can fix that quickly. So what I'm going to do here is I want to grab the first name, the company name and the date and put that into this name field automatically. So I can do that with a pretty simple formula. So if I change this to formula, okay, now the formula here is going to be called concatenate. If I just start typing that, then it pops up here, click on that. So concatenate basically just means you take one field and you take another field and you add them together, and that will appear as, you'll see how it appears in a sec, but that will appear as a single field. So I want to start with the attendee name, and if I start typing in attendee, then you can see it auto-populates. And then I need to do a comma, and then I need a space because basically I need a space between the next field. And then I put in the company name. So again, if I start typing company, it'll auto populate like that. Again, put in comma, again put in another space, and then I will also put in the call itself, which is the date of the call and the time. And then if I close it out like so, then that's basically, if I save that then appears. So that's great. If you want me to do another video on how and going into more detail on setting this kind of stuff up, then let me know in the comments. and I am happy to do one on formulas like this. Okay, so now we've got that pretty much set up. So we've got this is auto-populating, got the name, got the company, got what we're looking for, got the date and the time of the call, and we have got the link. And there's just one more thing I want to show you, which is this. At the moment, if I go and create a fresh copy of this form, at the moment, when they go through and they've got the name and the email, they have to go the next step to then get the company and what they're looking for. But it'd be nice if these fields were actually just on the same form, so they don't have to go to a second step. So I can do that real quick. So rather than having this, I could actually make it available in the schedule itself. So I go back to this tab here, and then you see at the top here, you've got event settings and booking page. I can toggle between these two. So if I change that to booking page, then you can see here I've got the name and I've got the email, and I can actually add additional fields to this. The difference is that between this and this one is that with this one you actually have the Airtable fields coming in directly on the side here, so you just basically drag them across. The difference here is that for some reason this isn't available on this setting, and I'm sure it's something that Fillout will add in the near future, but at the moment it's not available. But it's fine because we can quickly add any of these any of these standard fields, and we can simply map that to Airtable. So if for example, let's say I want to put in the company name, I'll drag a short answer across, which is just a single text field, and put in company. And then if I just click on the settings icon here, and this pops up here, then you can see this thing here where it says not connected. That just means it's not connected, in my case, to Airtable. So if I open that, then I can then connect it to Airtable. So I can say, I want that field called company to connect to my company field. So if I click on that, and that is connecting it to any field that's in the table that I have connected to in the integrate tab. Okay, so and I also want the second field being what are you looking for. So I'll quickly jump over here and I'll copy that to make it easier. So I'll copy the name of that field to make it easier, and then go back to schedule, and I'm on the booking page, and I will drag across. This time it's going to be a long answer because I want to give them more space to type out their answer, and I will remove the default text and paste it across. And then again I'll click on the settings icon, and again it's not connected, but I can open it up and I can connect that to looking for. Okay, and then that's that. So that's now on the same form, which means I can delete this tab. I don't need this tab anymore. So if I delete that, now it's just basically the schedule. It's the schedule page with the date and the time, and it's the booking page, which is this next step where they put in their actual name, email, company, and what they're looking for, and then the confirmation. Okay, so we can test that. I'm going to publish this. Copy the link again. Okay, as you can see, it's all here on the same form. So if I go back to the setting here and I choose this time, and let's say it's Melissa this time, not George. Okay, and for the company, I'm just going to say Microsoft. So I'm not being very imaginative with my company names. And what am I looking for today? Let's say I need help with, I'll just say make again, make.com. Okay, there we go, that's set up, that's created there, and as before I've got the confirmation. And if I jump back over here, then I now have another row with the name, the company, and same thing, it's populated everything. It's created the name automatically. If I go to my calendar, then it appears on here, so you can see the two calls. And that's it. So that's how you set it up. You can choose between whether you want the fields on this on this form or as a separate step. Sometimes it's better on a separate step, just depends on how many fields you've got. I've only got 2, so it's probably easier just to have it as part of the name and email. But if you have a lot of fields that you want to ask questions on, then it might make sense to have that as a separate tab, and therefore you can use the first option. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments. And of course, if you want help setting this up and you don't want to do it yourself, then let me know, and I can talk to you about my consulting offers. See you in the next video.